in English, and we're going to talk today about a very, very major issue, which is death. But before that, I would like to give the floor to Anayah, who has to share something with you.
Thank you, Silva. Hi, everyone. Just wanted to remind you all that Angel Heart Radio programs should not be used to replace your legal, medical, or professional advice, nor your own sound judgment. And just to also remind you, it's so beautiful that you, as we all are divine beings, and you're here with a divine purpose. You're here on purpose, and it's our joy. It really is our joy to support you. Thank you, Silva.
Thank you, Anayah. It's very nice always to be reminded that we are all magnificent beings. Yep. And as magnificent beings, we are here with you to share what we know about death, which is not, of course, very much, because probably nobody knows everything about death, but probably our experience with death, with other magnificent beings, that is all of you. So it's a great pleasure to be able to share this knowledge that we have with you. And I would like to start from a very personal experience I had in the last few months. In 3 months, I actually lost my beloved cat. And people who have pets can relate to that, because pets are like just members of the family. So losing a pet is really painful. And I was very close to my cat, Devon Rex, beautiful extraterrestrial creature. And he just came to us one day. He appeared in the garden. And since the first moment, I just fell in love with this creature. He was such a beautiful creature. So this was the first loss that I had in the last few months. But then 1 month ago, just on the 5th of July, my mother made her crossing in my house during a beautiful day in which she was very happy. But her crossing was also characterized by a lot of symbology and a lot of synchronicity, which made me think about death as a real transition to another dimension. So this is what I would like to share. But I think Anayah has a lot to share with you as well. So please, Anayah, can you tell us something about this very important subject?
It is a very important subject. And one of the things I want to stress is that people experience the death of loved ones in very different ways. And when my parents made their crossings within 2 months of each other, Dad was in November 2019, and my mum was then just 9 weeks later. And I was just so devastated, and I was completely unprepared for how I was going to feel. So the fact that I'm a spiritual woman, the fact that I knew that they were both well, they were happy continuing their lives in the next realm, didn't seem to help me. So if you're experiencing that, please be gentle with yourself. We've got Gabby in the chat with us. Hello, dear Gabby. So really look after yourself. When my dad made his crossing, I was sharing this with Silva just before we went on air. Dad was always a very fit man. He was always a very active, busy man. And toward the end of his life, he had several strokes. And throughout his life, he'd had a couple of heart attacks, which he recovered from amazingly. And yet he became like, a little old man, walking stick. He really slowed down. He couldn't walk anymore. And I knew how much Dad loved to walk, but he never complained. And just 2 days after he made his crossing, it was so joyous, Silva. He came to me one morning as I was sitting in bed with my cup of tea, and he was glowing, absolutely radiant. And he held up his walking stick and pointed at it, and he said, "See this?" I just love him so much. He threw it over his shoulder. He jumped in the air. He clicked his heels, and he said to me, "I can't believe how wonderful it feels to be so young and so fit and so healthy." So this was obviously proof positive, even though I didn't need proof that Dad was okay. And yet I had a very long journey to accept my grief, nurture myself through my grief, and come out of my grief.
Yes, I can relate to that. And but it's very, very synchronous that you talk about a walking stick, because this is actually was the symbol of my mother departing. So I want to talk about my mother a little bit. My mother was a very, very beautiful and gracious creature. She was of an incredible beauty, I have to say. She was like, you know, one of those Hollywood actresses of the 40s. And she lived a very happy life. She got married very young. She had 8 children. I'm the 8th, actually, the baby of the family. She had me when she was 37. When we sorted out some pictures to make a present to her during her 50th anniversary of her wedding, we had actually, some pictures were not dated. So together with my sisters, we were chatting about some possible dates. And there was one picture in particular in which she was very, very beautiful. And we said, okay, she must be 25. But then we realized she was 50. And then she lived until 98 years of age. And I have to say that she was also very beautiful in her old age. And that she has always been a very, very healthy woman. She survived typhoid fever, when she was 3. So clearly that was a very dangerous disease at that time, because there were no antibiotics or whatever. So once she survived this disease, she was never ill. I actually never saw her in bed, ever, ever. She was always very fit. And the only thing she had when she was getting old, that she had osteoporosis, probably after all the pregnancies she had 11 pregnancies.
Oh,
and
wow.
yes, incredible. And
It's incredible.
incredible, but her body was perfect, absolutely perfect, always, you know, very fit and healthy. And but osteoporosis created a problem with her back, so she was very frail with her back, and she was in pain, and she had some problems. This was the only problem she had. And so we thought she was eternal, because at 98 she was actually planning for the future, because she had 8 children. 2 of them unfortunately died, and she had also to endure the loss of 2 children during her life. And she had 16 grandchildren. Unfortunately, one, transitioned to another dimension, and she also had to endure the loss of a grandchild. But she also had great grandchildren, actually 13. And so she was really the pillar of the family. She had, many connections, and she was always preparing lunches, like the clear, the typical Italian mom and grandmother and great grandmother. She was always surrounded by children and grandchildren and whatever. And she was very happy. And so she was planning for the future, because she wanted to be present at the wedding of her great grandchildren. She was actually imagining the hats that she would be wearing. So she was really very positive. And so we thought she was eternal. And we knew that sooner or later she would go. But for us, she was eternal. And one day she came to have lunch at my house, and with her walking stick. And we had lunch under a beautiful tree in a part of the garden where my cat also was buried. And when my child was very young and he had his sandpit there, he would say, "Mom, there are so many people here." And I knew that he was talking about angels, because that place is really magical. And a very strange thing happened, because she gave her walking stick to my son Michelangelo, and Michelangelo put her stick onto a branch of the tree. And the stick was in such a strange position that it actually looked like a painting by Magritte, a very oniric, a very symbolic image. And then at a certain time, we had lunch all together, my sister, myself, and my mother. My son went to prepare coffee. My husband left, and we were actually talking about the symbology of that particular stick and the position it had. And then my mother said something that she looked beyond that stick. And she said, you know, I'm dizzy. But then she said, Daddy, as if she saw my father. And the expression was, what are you doing here? And then she closed her eyes. She just closed her eyes and she was gone. But before that, I realized that a portal had opened because I felt something was very strange. Just before she started speaking, I actually felt that there was a presence there, and there was a good presence. And so my sister and I immediately realized she had gone. I mean, there was no doubt about it. And then, of course, this was ascertained by the ambulance and whatever. But before that, before actually this crossing, she was telling about a story of bats, because I said that we have many bats in the house in the evening, so I cannot keep the windows open in the evening because sometimes bats come in the house. And actually this happened 2 days before. And I was talking about this to my mother, and my mother said, you know what happened to me? I was in the mountains early in the morning. I was looking at the mountains and I saw a little bat coming back into the terrace where probably it had its nest. And at that moment, all the birds started singing. And since my mother died in my house, we could not move her back to her house. So she was there peacefully, and she was very beautiful. Also in her death, she just looked like an angel. And in the morning, I went into this room to say, hi, Mom. And I opened the window. It was very early in the morning, and I saw a bat coming back near the window, and all the birds started singing. And this was a very clear message, I think, that my mother wanted to give me before her departing, because her soul knew she was going. We didn't know. Probably her mortal essence did not know, but her soul knew. So she had to share this experience with us. And then a very strange thing, my mother was born on the 22nd of October, 1922. So the number 2 is a very, very important number for her. And for a while, just before her death, and especially after her death, a lot of 2s are appearing. We were having dinner with friends, and a friend of mine just looked at the beer and at the expiry date on the beer, which is something strange. You don't just look at that while you're... And he said, how strange, you see it's 22. 22. 4 2s, how strange. 2 days later, I went to a hotel and we were given room number 22. And all these things happen. And this is actually evidence that we are really immortal, and that we just go into another dimension, and we can actually share a lot with the people who stay, even though, of course, people who stay suffer, because every time I still wake up in the morning and say, oh, I have to share these photos with Mom. My mom was actually able to use WhatsApp in 98. She was great. She was just sending photos around and chatting with everybody. And I said, no, I cannot do that because she's not here anymore, but she's with me. I know she's with us, and I know she is with all her children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and she will be there at their wedding and, probably wearing a very funny hat. So this is the experience I would like to share. So even though we suffer, and we do suffer a lot, I suffered a lot for my cat as well, but my cat is with me. I just feel he is with me, and they're both with me. So this is very reassuring, and and comforting. And so our souls, I think, know that we have to go. And my cat was the same. He knew he had to go. He was always looking at the sun. He was like, a god of the sun, a priest of the sun, we used to say. And even the last day of his life, even though he was half paralyzed, he actually managed to get into the sun, his last farewell to life. And then this was an incredible experience.
Very peaceful.
Yeah.
Now, we've got some wonderful sharing happening in the comments section. If you're watching anywhere other than on our Angel Heart Radio Facebook page or YouTube channel, please head on over to one of those, because then we can see your comments and respond. Now, I'm just a little bit dyslexic, and names I can't quite get my head around sometimes. So we've got a friend from India.
Yes.
I know it's not Prashetta, but that's all I can think of. I'm so sorry.
Yes, Prashetta Nayar and Gabby Forrester. Yes.
Okay, so she's saying that her mum passed away on the 14th of March this year, and it was very sudden, and that her mum was very healthy and strong, everyone. Her dad passed away in 2008. He had motor neuron disease, but he was also good till the last day of his life. Now, this is difficult because she's missing her mum and her dad so much, but it's so new also for her mum. It's not very much time that's passed, that she was so full of life and was so very, very strong. And like your mum, she was a very stylish and happy person. My mum was very stylish as well. My mum was always a picture. And this is it, isn't it? It's that feeling of, I don't know how you feel, and I'd like to know, Prashetta, are you struggling with that human part of you, even though have you had contact with your mum and your dad since their crossing? And this is where I started at the beginning of the show, how important it is that we're very gentle with ourselves, we're very loving and kind. We must be so kind to ourselves, because this is a journey that only we can take, and only we can take it in our own particular way. And for some people, they may find that they can move through it much more quickly than I could. I still miss my parents. And when you were talking about your mum, I had to have a sip of tea, because I just felt like I just wanted to start crying, because I really miss my mum and my dad. Even though I know, as I said, they're doing so well, it's that picking up the phone, isn't it? It's that getting a hug. It's all of those sorts of experiences that we treasured so deeply with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That is something that we have to go through. Bereavement, this feeling of loss, of, void. I think this is inevitable, because we live actually in a three-dimensional existence. And even for people like me and Anayah, and many of you who have contacts with angels or with other dimensions, it's not always easy to relate that when we talk about people who are very close to us. It's very difficult, I think. I cannot even imagine what it means for a parent to lose a child. My mother was a person of great faith. She was, Catholic, and she had really great and, profound faith. But when she lost her 2 children and 1 grandchild, she suffered tremendously, even though she was sure that she would meet them again and then, but it's absolutely human to suffer. And it's the same with pets. And sometimes people who grieve for their pets, they feel lonely, because some people do not relate to that. They say, okay, it's a pet. Who cares? No, because pets are just members of our family. I love my pets. I mean, I love them all. I still remember the cats I had when I was a child. I still remember them all. For me, they're just part of me. So I can relate to that. There are people who suffer tremendously for their pets.
Absolutely.
For animals in general. Even horses. I mean, I'm a horse person. I mean, I've been riding all my life, and when my horses left, I mean, it was so painful. I still feel them. I still can, remember their smell. I remember their faces. I mean, they're members of our families, and they're just part of us.
It's that whole soul connection, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's not about I'm a
Absolutely.
human, you're an animal. My little dog Bonnie and I I've been so close to so many amazing beings, and one of my daughter's dogs, Chevy, I was particularly close to him as well. And I remember really struggling, and someone said, "You look terrible. What's happened?" I said, "I've lost a family member." And then they asked me who it was. And I told them it was my granddog. And he looked at me like I was a little bit nutty. And I said, "You mightn't understand it, but that love is so deep." And
Yes.
when Bonnie made her crossing very suddenly, I was in such shock. And she was this little black mini poodle, and because she had so much sass, that girl, and she was the happiest being. She was up for joy 24/7. She was an incredible companion, but an incredible experience for me to experience joy on the level that she experienced it. And she used to sleep on the end of my bed, and every now and again I'll move my foot, and there I can feel her. There she is. It was 8 years ago that she left. But anyway, my daughter, her dogs had puppies. And part of the conditions of the contract when they sold the puppies was if they had to be home for any reason, they had to come back to her, because she wanted to make sure they got the right homes. So anyway, when Bonnie made her transition, I spoke to my dear friend and I said, "I don't understand it, but I feel that Bonnie's opened a door for me." And in comes Sam. So I made it perfectly clear I wasn't taking Sam. I had a lot of healing to do. Anyway, I'm at home one day, and all of a sudden I got this feeling, and I rang up Lauren and I said, "Do you mind if I come and pick up Sam and take him for a bath?" She said, "If that's what floats your boat, Mum, go for it." So I went and picked him up, and I took him up to the local pet barn, and I'd never been there before for bathing an animal. I have someone come and bathe the dogs. So I went to bathe him, and there on the door was a poster with a dog, and I mean exactly to the last hair like Bonnie, because I had said to Bonnie, "If you have opened the door for Sam to come in, I need you to tell me, but I need you to tell me really strongly and clearly in a way that I can't misunderstand. There's this poster." And I've gone, okay. And I went up there the next week, poster was gone. So Sam's been with me ever since.
How nice. No, I know. I remember. I've always had cats, and my first experience with a dog was my children were very young. We took in a Maremmano shepherd dog, an Italian shepherd dog, and they become very big, all white, fluffy, and they are considered to be difficult dogs to have at home. We had a garden because they cannot be trained. They know what they have to do. They actually protect sheep or children. In fact, he was always very protective of my children. He would always stand between a stranger and the children. He would always be there, just not doing anything, just controlling that everything was okay. And so he stayed with us for so many years. And then he started, getting a little bit ill with his heart, and he had a kind of heart disease. And in the end, I knew he was about to leave us, and he was in the cellar because it was very hot. And I went there, and I was holding his paw, and he was actually looking at me in the eyes, and he was actually telling me, "Thank you." Thank you because I actually felt that he had gratitude in his eyes. It was so incredible. And then he just closed his eyes and he went. But the gratitude the gratitude he expressed was incredible. Gratitude and love. Incredible love. So animals can actually share a lot of love with us. That's
an
why
enormous amount.
Exactly. That's why many people relate to that, because I think that many people don't have the fortune, and I have to say this, to grow up with animals.
Yeah.
And so they probably do not relate to them because they never had pets at home. They never had animal experience. But I think, and people who are listening and who have pets, who have relationship with animals, know very well that once you connect with their soul essence, the connection is so deep. My connection probably is very deep because I know I come from the world of elementals, because I actually live in nature. I thrive in nature. I thrive with gardens and animals and everything. So there must be something in my soul heritage that has something to do with elementals. But even people who are not and who have relationship with animals, they know very well how much love you can share with those creatures, and they are so innocent, and they are so open and loving. And that's something very strange happened with Pixie, my extraterrestrial cat. I call him extraterrestrial because I don't know whether you know the Devon Rex cats. So they have very long ears, like Egyptian cat, and very slanting eyes. Actually, E.T. was designed on the basis of the face of this breed of cats, and this was actually like E.T. E.T. I want to go back home, is it? And he had these strange eyes, and he had very strange habits, more like a dog with respect to cats. And he would sit for hours and hours just facing the sun with his eyes partially closed. And I thought that it was elaborating on the theory of relativity, because I could actually see his mind, traveling, and all the thoughts, and he was there like a sun priest, getting all the energy. And he was then giving the energy back to us. And he had an incredible body temperature, and a very funny creature. And he was always sharing love, pure love, and pure presence with us, whatever. And he anticipated our thoughts. So if I was not feeling well, he would immediately come and be there and actually sit where I had my pain. If I had stomach ache, it would actually stay on my stomach. Or if I had a sore throat, it would actually be there, like, like a kind of scarf. If I had headache, it would actually sit on my. Incredible. So people who have animals know very well how deep that love is. I have deep love for horses. If you look into the eyes of horses, you see wilderness, you see freedom, you see incredible spaces. This is what you see in a horse. I mean, you just look in the eyes and you see the beauty of the earth. And I think that you can relate to that. So losing a pet is a tragedy. It's like losing a member of the family. And we have to grieve. I think that grieving is just a process. But grieving probably gives us also the possibility of, having all these memories in our hearts and in our souls, and they will remain forever. This is beautiful.
Now let's see how we can, if there's any way we can support Prashetta. She's saying that in the last 12 years, she's lost her dad, her dog Junior, and now her mum. Each one has gone. They took a part of my heart away, but my mum took my life away. I miss her.
Yes.
This is very profound pain that you've shared with us. So maybe I could do a little process. I don't know what it is. I can just feel the angels around. Maybe I could do that, Silver?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. So just taking a breath, everyone. And if you're driving, this is not the time to do this. Come back and listen. And this will also be available as a podcast by tomorrow, okay, on angelheartlisten.com. Just close your eyes and just take a breath and allow that energy to begin to move into your body and then out of your body. Breathing and breathing deeply and gently. And calling in all the angels of love and support. These beautiful angels from our Creator, from God. The angels of support. Archangel, there's two of them trying to jump in. Archangel Azrael is here, as is Archangel Gabriel. And Azrael wants you to know that your loved ones, whether they're animals or not, human or not, the soul of your loved one was received with the greatest of tenderness. The welcome and homecoming of your loved one, while so terribly sad for us, was a gift of joy to them. The reuniting with their loved ones. So just allow yourself to feel your energy begin to settle. And Gabrielle says, though you grieve and though you weep, the joy that is you and your connection with your loved one grows stronger and stronger with each passing beat of your heart, each passing breath. You are never, ever separated in truth, even as it feels the fabric of your life is being torn asunder. In your own way and in your own time, call upon your loved one or loved ones. You can't call in too many loving connections, and ask to feel their love, their constancy of their love. Ask for their support to help you take the steps into your own earthly path, even as you walk without them physically by your side. Please help me to feel safe and secure without you, to be willing to move forward into my own life without your physical presence. There they are. Can you feel them? Their love is so strong for you. Thousands upon thousands upon thousands of angels sing your name into the world, for your steps are not yet done, and your time to be here. Listen for the echoes of your name. Feel the love the angels reverberate for you throughout space and time. And ask again to feel confident and comfortable to move forward in your life. No need to feel that you are moving too far away from your loved one, because you're never separated. So ask for confirmation to show up in your physical world, that you will easily understand that your loved ones are urging you onward, onward into your life. helping you feel safe and secure, nurtured, loved, blessed. And Archangel Michael steps in now to help you with the courage to take the steps, to release whatever it is that feels like is holding you back. And your own guardian angels stand by you at all times. Breathing in and breathing out. Prepare now to experience your physical self again. As you make your way back into your conscious reality, your conscious world, your conscious realm. Give thanks, express your gratitude and your love. This is not goodbye. Thank you, angels. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Gabriel. Thank you, Azrael, and everyone else that's been in attendance. And thank you to all the loved ones who have supported us. And then as you become ready, move your fingers, your feet, your head. And then when you're ready, just open your eyes and welcome back. And that felt so blessed and so peaceful.
Yes.
And I opened my eyes to see that Poppy has joined us. I'm so glad I caught your wonderful show. And we're so glad you're here, Poppy. Thank you.
Poppy. Thank you. Yes, it was just amazing. Lots of love, lots of peace. And yeah.
Very peaceful. I feel really solidly peaceful. Yeah. I was feeling very emotional before we went into that experience, into that journey. I feel really solidly peaceful now, and I'd like to know how you guys are feeling too.
Yes.
Yes,
and if anyone would like
a copy, sorry, Silver, if anyone would like a copy of that as an MP3 to use whenever you want, let me know and I'll get it to you. Just email me at love@angelheartradio.com.
Yes. Yes, and I think that this restreaming is going to remain on our Facebook pages and on Angel Heart Radio, on Angel Light 777 on Silver. And it is important to be able to talk about these things because death is a subject that is considered to be almost a taboo as a topic. So people experience it all the time because we are mortal. So we lose parents, loved ones, pets, whatever. So we all experience death and transition, but it's very difficult to talk about it.
Yeah, it can be.
Yes, and I think it's important to talk about it because it's such a human experience, and it's something we all go through. And sooner or later, unfortunately, and so it is important also to share our thoughts, beliefs about death, because some people have, very strange beliefs about this transition. Some people are afraid of going to hell or being punished or whatever, or that there is nothing else apart from life on earth, so that everything is just finished. And I think this is even more painful because it adds fear and loneliness to this experience. So it is, I think the good thing about a good approach to this transition is to have messages and evidence from people who have already left. And because if we ask for their messages, we will receive them. This is for sure. And we can receive them in different forms, as for with the angels. So with, everybody has a special message that we receive in the form of, numbers, and, Anayah is an expert in this, and then, or, elements of nature. This is what happens to me. Orbs. I get a lot of messages through orbs.
And light. Your photos of light are amazing.
I have so many. And if you have actually photos of orbs that you have taken, just share them with us, because each one of them has a message according to their colors, to the way they shine. And so yes, I have amazing ones. I'm going to share some of them. I have one which is really amazing that I want to share, but I have to ask permission because it involves another person. Yep. And but so for me, orbs are very clear messages. So I get orbs all the time, and I see them. I get them in my pictures, but also other kinds of messages, some ideas, intuitions. As I was telling Anayah just before the show that my husband had lost his wallet, and every day I asked Archangel Samuel to help me find it, and no message was coming. There was nothing there. Emptiness, total emptiness. So I thought, okay, no wallet and all the documents gone. We were abroad. But then, since I have faith in angels, one morning I just asked again. And before I actually finished asking, a very clear message came: the wallet is here. So I knew that the wallet was there, and actually the wallet was found. So, I mean, perfect timing. You never know what happens. I managed actually to open this morning a file that could not be opened. And in the past, Anayah sent me a file. I couldn't open it. And then this morning, I got it to my mind, why don't you try again? I said, okay, I'll try. But I was not confident, but I actually tried. And the document was there. Bingo. So, I mean, if you ask for messages, you will receive them. Just be open. They can come in. Yes, trust. They can come in with numbers, feathers, orbs, intuitions, ideas, even crazy ideas. Sometimes I get crazy ideas. I say, oh my God, isn't this crazy? And sometimes also a lot of sense of humor.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because I think that the life of our beloved ones in another dimension is so happy. So even though probably they know we're suffering, sometimes they even use, some humor, which is sometimes it sounds very strange to us, but this is something that is happening all the time. And so we can get these messages in different forms. Just be open and you will receive them.
Yes. And it's that trust, and it's the timing as well, like when Silva was saying about that document. Now, the document there's a new page on my website, which is angellight777.com for angel numbers. The angels asked me to do the numbers, but not to copy them from anywhere, that we would write them together, which we have. More will go up as time allows. But there's enough there. There's plenty there. And our goal is to help you to become fluent in angel numbers so that any time you see a number, you will know, understand, feel, and connect with their message for you. Right. So Silva very kindly and graciously offered to translate it into Italian for me, because the Silva show is done in Italian as well, right? And our last show was in English and Italian. It was so awesome.
Yeah.
So that's the document she's speaking of. So it's the timing sometimes.
Yeah.
It's the trust to know that if something isn't happening today or tomorrow or the next day, even if we try 50 times, it doesn't mean to say that it's a dead end. Sometimes it's a signal to wait, maybe ask for more information. Silver asked me, can you find someone to translate that, to, you know, save that document as a doc? Because I was using Apache Open Office. So I said I would, and then it left my mind. Never thought of it again. So it's not a surprise to me that it opened. It just like, that's a great idea. And it was like a bird that just flew out of the cage. So it's wonderful. And I just want to share that we have, Prashetta said she felt her mum in that journey we did, which is beautiful.
Oh, how nice.
Beautiful, beautiful. And Poppy says it was very emotional for her. She felt her nan holding her hand. And when Archangel Michael came in, he lifted me, reminded her to raise her vibration. And she feels very peaceful and blessed. So this is the thing. We're here together by divine plan, which is how we started the show. You're a divine being. You are here on purpose. You are part of a divine plan. Same as me, same as Silver. And look how things are flowing for us today.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, everything flew very well, and you know, the flow was great.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Just
Yes.
wonderful. And it's very special to really share this time together. It's very special to have the opportunity to connect with these gorgeous people.
Yeah, absolutely.
That have gathered here with us.
Yeah, thank you for being here, and you know, for sharing your thoughts and even your pain. Because pain is part of life, but it can be transformed into something important for us. There is one thing that I do all the time, which is very useful, at least for me, but it may be useful for you as well. When I meditate, I actually imagine light coming and going through my eyes. And it is the light that will allow me to see beauty in everything I see. And I can tell you that this is really happening, that whatever I see, and I manage to see beauty. And there can be beauty also in this transition, even though we cannot relate to that immediately. But there is something that is also beautiful and peaceful.
Yeah, absolutely. I was talking to my stepmother the other week about this. I mean, Dad was her world. He was literally her life, because Dad had something called aphasia, which sometimes people have after a stroke, which meant that he lost his ability to read numbers, words, communicate what he was feeling. It was inside of him and he knew it in his head, but to get it down that pathway and out was very, very difficult for him. And the most extraordinary thing happened. My dad wanted peace his whole life, and it seemed so elusive to him. He did a lot of personal growth work, a lot, and yet this inner peace seemed to be elusive to him. But after his strokes, he was the most peaceful man. Nothing seemed to bother him. He was just happy to be doing whatever. And I said to June, out of all of that, if you could have Dad back before his strokes, would you? And she said, I don't think I could take that peace away from him. So you're right, out of something that's so devastating at the time, and, you know, with strokes, as you probably know, the arc of it. The healing can take a long time through, and Dad was learning to read again. He was learning his numbers again. I mean, he would pick up newspapers even though he couldn't understand any of it, because he just knew that he wanted to learn to read again. And he knew bit by bit it would somehow, things would happen, and he did. He was amazing. And I said to Spoon, it's really interesting, isn't it? Because when you think about it as well, and you think about it for yourself, look at all the things you do now. She's learned, and June was the sort of person who would never touch technology. That was Dad's department. The phone was as far as she would go. That was it. So she's got an iPad now. She gets audio books. She's doing shopping online. She's doing all these sorts of things. I said, you wouldn't be doing that if Dad was still here, because you'd be looking to him to do it for you. Look what it's given you. And I hope you feel a sense of real achievement and yes, pride in yourself, because you made those choices, because she decided, she really had to think about whether she was going to stay or whether she was going to go. June's 93, so she was 91 when Dad passed. She's amazing. She's such an inspiration. So out of all of this, as you say, so much beauty evolves. It's not necessarily evident to begin with, but with patience and tenderness, if we allow it, it can start to come in. And that's my hope for you guys today. And Prashetta says, thank you so much, beautiful ladies. I love you much. We love you too. And really grateful to you. So that's my hope and prayer for you now and your brother. That you be tender with yourself and very kind. And when moments come, one of my big worries was I began to feel guilty when I started to feel better. I really began to feel guilty about that. And I had to really think about that and explore that, because Mum and Dad would never want me to feel unhappy, not in a fit. But as we begin to make our way out of the pain of loss, sometimes we can feel guilty about doing that. So that's my prayer for you, is that you can make your way out of the pain of your loss into the joy of everything you have experienced, of everything you are and share in the world, and that you can joyfully move forward in the sure knowledge this is right for you. Yeah.
I just got a message from my angels that I would like to share. Some people also grieve because they didn't have the time to say goodbye to the loved ones because they were not there for some reason, or they wanted to share something, or they wanted to make peace, with somebody who has left. And so we have lots of guilty feelings. But actually, what we can do, even though our beloved ones have departed and they are not physically with us, but they are with us, so we can actually do this now. You can actually say goodbye. You can actually share your feelings and thoughts with them. And, come to terms with whatever problems that you may have had with them. So this can be done now. So you can do this now without any problem. And this is important because some people say, it's too late. I cannot do this anymore. That's not true. You can actually do this now, or when you like it, even if these people are not with us, physically with us, but they are actually with us. So we can actually do it as if they are really in front of us. So this is the message I got that I wanted to share with you.
And it's a
Yes.
wonderful message, isn't it, Silver? Because, as you say, for whatever reason, sometimes people aren't with their loved ones. Sometimes they're not even on speaking terms with their loved
Yes,
ones.
exactly.
And this must add to their pain.
Yes.
And I've spoken to people who say, oh, no, I'm fine with it. Doesn't bother me at all. You know, we didn't speak in life, so why should I care now? But I can see and feel underneath that, you know, we all have a longing, don't we? We all have a longing to be close and connected to our loved ones in ways that are meaningful to us. Doesn't matter what it means to anybody else, it has to be meaningful to us. So this is an important message, a very important message. Silver?
Yes, absolutely. I wanted to share with you because I know that this may be something very painful, because this leads to guilty feelings and the fact of not being at peace with even with the memories of these people. And I think we can actually forgive and bless even the people with whom we've had many problems. I think it's important to do that because it's the best way to say goodbye.
Yeah.
Or farewell.
It is. And farewell, that's right. See you soon. Because for them, which is what, you know, particularly Dad, and that was what really surprised me. Mum has been, especially in the garden. Mum loved the flowers I grow. She loved the flowers I grow. So quite often when I'm in the garden with the flowers, I feel her very strongly there. But Dad in particular has made his presence feel, and then I don't feel them for periods of time at all. And then all of a sudden, back in they come, and it's the little things like I just realised I'm wearing my mum's pearl.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't consciously put it on today. I was getting ready and I thought, oh, I'll just pick it, put it on. So here we are having this experience, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Prashetta says, Mum was taking care of household chores till 2 a.m. and 4:45 she was gone. Terry Angel assured her it was a very happy and painless passing. And the thing of it is, even though others from the outside may not understand someone's passing, it is my firm understanding, my firm belief that nobody goes in a manner that they themselves on a soul level have not chosen.
That's true.
So there may, you know, we have different exit points, but to be assured that they were happy with that because it suits their soul's growth, their soul's journey. And by extension, it then serves ours as well because we're so closely connected. I mean, we are exactly the same energy. We're part of source energy. You know, we are not separated, even though in our 3D world, that's how we see things.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I just would like to share a last thought. Many years ago, my grandmother passed away in front of my mother, exactly in the same way as my mother transitioned, because they went to have a wonderful dinner together. And then she accompanied my grandmother at home. And my grandmother said, you know, I don't really feel very well. She closed her eyes and she was gone. And I remember my mother saying, I would like to die exactly in this way. This is the best death you can have. And this is what happened to her. I think her prayers were actually listened to, because this is exactly what happened to her. She had a wonderful lunch with us, and then she was gone in 1 second without even suffering. She didn't have any painful expression. She just had the expression of, Daddy, what are you doing here? This is what her expression is. What are you doing here? And then she was gone. And this was exactly that. So probably on a soul level, she knew that this was the way in which she would go.
Yeah.
And it was very peaceful for us because we know that she didn't suffer. of course,
Yep.
seeing somebody suffering is really painful, I think. So
Very
this is
painful. And that was one of my great fears with my mum, because I wasn't with her. And yet, looking back, was amazing. A friend was able to go to mum's bedside. And for a long time, I couldn't accept it. I couldn't accept that I wasn't there. I couldn't accept that I didn't know. I couldn't accept that I wasn't there. And slowly but surely, I came to understand. Actually, it was Mum. Thank you, Mummy. It was Mum who gave me this clear vision of me sitting at her bedside, willing her not to go, and how much more difficult it would have been for her.
I think that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yes, because
it was by divine order, not that God said, this is how you're going to go. It was a beautiful flow of choice and of the coming together, the culmination of Mum's physical life here on earth, and how much love she has left behind to keep walking the earth in myself and my family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have to cherish our ancestors, because if we think what they had to endure, we are thinking about our parents or grandparents, but if we think in the past, people had to endure famine, wars, women had, a very high risk of mortality during childbirth, and no painkillers, no antibiotics. Sometimes life was very, very difficult. And here we are.
Yeah.
So we have to be grateful, because they managed actually to transfer their genetic pool, but also their love, to us. And so I think we have to be grateful, because we have a whole tribe of people, and probably even tribes from other dimensions.
Absolutely.
So we are so much supported.
Mm-hmm. We are so supported, and Prasheta's just now shared, and when you look at the journey that you've been on today, Prasheta, that's how my mum wanted to go, and she was smiling when she left. Her last words were, I am fine, I am good. Look at the journey you've been on today. In this 1 hour on the show today,
Yes,
I can see this. It's like they're showing me, it's almost like a star blazing a trail throughout the heavens for you. You're really amazing. You've done beautiful, peaceful work for yourself today, and I'm really proud of you.
Absolutely. So grateful to all of you for your support and your sharing. So thank you, Anayah, for this very beautiful program. I couldn't do it before because it was too close to my mom's death. But after a month, I felt that I could actually do it. And I'm very, very happy to have been able to share with all of you, with Anayah. And I would like to thank Anayah for sharing her experience about the transition, because I think it's important to talk about it. And if you have anything more to share, just reach us on our media contacts.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Please do come and like us on Facebook if that feels a good connection for you. We share a lot there, and we've got some fantastic shows on Angel Heart Radio, and with other hosts as well. This is my second show today. Actually, I'm on with the fabulous Carol Ann Cross at 11:30 a.m. in Brisbane, which is 8:30 Central. And the purpose of Angel Heart Radio is not to get likes and numbers, and that's not our purpose at all. We'll be 10 in September. Can you imagine? 10 in September. And we've been broadcasting continuously for those 10 years. And the purpose of Angel Heart Radio is, as I said before, to help you connect with the divine being that you are, and to offer support in whatever way we can, not to fix you, because you're not broken, right? You're not broken, but we are in pain at times. And sometimes we also need the affirmations to remind us that, I'm pretty amazing. I'm here on purpose. I'm part of a divine plan. Wow. So that's fantastic. And of course, angellight777.com is my website. And that has been going continuously now, sharing the angels' love for 13 years. So I'm very, very blessed, Silver.
Incredible. I mean, I'm very new to the scene because I have been in contact with angels forever. But I mean, only recently I had a clear message that I had to share my experience. I also have a very scientific-based approach to manifestation because I work with a lot of neuroscientists. And now we have the scientific evidence to actually explain what happens during meditation, what happens when we pray, what happens in the quantum field. And so this is also amazing because, I mean, this knowledge has been there for thousands of years, but there was actually no scientific evidence. But now we do have scientific evidence for this, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. It's the time on the planet. Hey, guys, last week, same day as we're at now, go down on the Angel Hut radio page and find the show that Caroline and I did with Janet Hickox about the upgrade in our energy and what we need to do to help this evolve between now and 2027. It was a mind-blowingly great show and full of incredible information. I cannot recommend that highly enough.
Because I had a program in English on how to manifest through the quantum field. You can find it on my Facebook page.
Yeah, that was a really good program. Yeah.
Yes, that is just the beginning. But I think that this is the quantum healings, quantum energy is really so interesting. Even from the scientific just point of view, it's just mind blowing what we can actually do with that energy. We can actually change our DNA. We can actually change our destiny. We can change our chronological age, which can do whatever we like. Yep, it's amazing. Yes. So and thank you so much.
I have to say, just on that subject, when you did that show, you just explained everything so well. It was so easy to follow. And everything, it was like ticking boxes. Oh my God, that makes so much sense. Tick, 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 tick. Right.
But it does. It makes sense. It makes sense because inside we have this knowledge. Our soul relates to that. So that is why it has meaning. Sometimes we listen to, a lot of things, even religious things. And sometimes these things do not resonate. And I was born in a very Catholic family, but I have to say that, these Catholic rituals have never resonated with me. And I probably shared with you this thing, but this is something that it explains why. My mother used to take me to the Wednesdays once a year in which the priest reminds you that you are dust and you go back to being dust, which is very sad. I was very depressed. I was young, very young, and I was very depressed. And I didn't know why my mother was taking me to these horrible rituals. But anyway, at a certain point, I was old enough to say, stop, I'll never do that again. But after so many years, I was translating for a Jesuit priest who had curated all the dialogues of The Passion of Christ, that film that was produced by the
Mel Gibson.
Yes, Mel Gibson. Yeah. And the good thing about the film is that each character spoke his or her own language, Aramaic, and then ancient Hebrew, and then cultivated Latin, and then the Latin spoken by these soldiers and whatever. That was very interesting. So I was talking, because I'm a linguist, so I was talking to him about this. And this example came to my mind. I said, why liturgy can be so dull and so depressing? And I said, this is a translation mistake, because actually the liturgy should say, you are light and you will be back to being light. And I said, wow, the difference in words, but this explains that everything can be translated into something else, actually transmuted.
Yeah.
Any concept, and that resonates with our souls, right?
Yeah.
We
It really
are light.
does. Absolutely.
And we go back to being light, dust. It doesn't relate to us.
Yep, absolutely. And it doesn't. And that's why so many people don't relate to some of the traditions and rituals, yet do relate so powerfully to all this divine love that we're really experiencing and claiming for ourselves, really stepping into. And it's time on the planet. This upgrade in energy is going to happen in 2027, whether we're ready for it or not. So, you know, I'm really excited. I want to be a part of all the beauty that's unfolding. I want to be a part of this. And, we have free will. We can choose to do that or not. And none of it's wrong.
Exactly.
Mm.
So let's take this journey together.
Yes, exactly.
So much fun.
So much fun. It is. It's great fun. I love it. It's like a party the whole time.
Yes, exactly. So thank you. Thanks to all of you. Thank you, Anayah. And it was a great show. Thank you.
Wonderful spending the time with you. I love spending this time with you. It's great.
Thank you. And see you very soon.
See you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Ciao. Take good care. Bye.